Hello, dear friends. It's no longer news that Trump has decided to postpone the implementation of tariffs until September 1st, after his advisors, particularly Finance Minister Scott Bessent, tried to put the brakes on the tariff war. Of course, the administration is only seeking fair trade deals, fairer for Americans. By doing this, Trump has slightly delayed the imposition of duties to have more time for negotiations with key trading partners like China and the European Union. So, why did Trump decide to postpone the tariffs, and does the U.S. have a real plan to reach an agreement with everyone? We'll talk about that and more. There's already a feeling in the U.S. administration that they are finally making headway in negotiations with several important partners, including India and the European Union. The idea is to give them a little more time, and soon they will shake hands on new trade agreements. The tariff pause was set to expire literally overnight from Tuesday to Wednesday, July 9th. The administration effectively extended the pause but simultaneously sent official letters to its trading partners with warnings and new potential tariff rates. Over the weekend before the official announcement on Monday, Trump, according to people in his circle, was actively consulting on the issue, but not in formal White House meetings. More traditionally for him, the matter was decided on the golf course, specifically at his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey. He considered various options, whether to set a firm new deadline for August to allow a little more time, or to immediately delight partners with letters announcing tariffs without a specific date, but with specific rates. Trump even suggested he might abandon any new deals altogether and just let the tariffs take effect if partners didn't meet his terms. However, his position softened noticeably after conversations with Bessent, his key trade advisor. Bessent told the president that negotiations with individual countries were genuinely close to the finish line, but they desperately needed a bit more time to finalize the details. Bessent already had experience persuading Trump, as he was the one who convinced him back in April to implement the first 90-day pause instead of immediately raising import duties. The White House's official line sounded quite straightforward. They said yes, the U.S. is interested in lowering tariffs because it benefits both American businesses and consumers. But at the same time, Trump and his team emphasized their main point: the U.S. is not going to make any concessions just for the sake of it. Administration spokesman Kush Desai stated that the United States is the world's largest consumer market, which gives them powerful leverage in negotiations. In private conversations with allies and advisors, Trump complained that negotiations with individual countries were progressing slowly or were at a complete standstill. According to him, other governments simply weren't coming to the table with proposals that were sufficiently beneficial to the United States. This made Donald Trump very upset. Even more interestingly, Trump boasted about a recently signed bill, which he called "one big beautiful bill," and mentioned the bombing of Iran. He perceived all of this as clear victories. He said he was currently riding a wave of political success and wanted to use this momentum to achieve results. In trade policy, this was his chance to turn recent events into trade victories that he could sell to voters. On Tuesday, he openly admitted that he wouldn't stop there and planned even more such warnings. He told reporters that new letters were expected to be sent out, and a special letter for the European Union was due in the coming days. He decided to publish the letters on his social media platform. He started by posting copies of the notices to South Korea and Japan, which would officially face new 25% tariffs from August 1st if a stable agreement wasn't reached. After the first publications, a whole wave of new letters followed. The Trump administration sent similar warnings to other countries with new rates. For instance, 40% for Myanmar and Laos, 36% for Thailand and Cambodia, 35% for Serbia and Bangladesh, 32% for Indonesia, 30% for Bosnia and Herzegovina and South Africa, and 25% for Kazakhstan, Malaysia, and Tunisia. These rates were not identical to the ones from April. Some countries saw slightly softer terms, while others remained at the same level. For example, Malaysia's rate even increased by 1 percentage point compared to April. In contrast, Cambodia managed to secure a significant reduction from the initial figure, a full 13 percentage points lower. The U.S. was literally riding If you are finally ready to open your markets to American goods, remove all your high tariffs, non-tariff barriers, quotas, and other obstacles, then we can reconsider the contents of this letter. In parallel, on Monday, Trump himself commented on this letter campaign to reporters at the White House. He stated that the August 1st deadline was a firm date, but not 100% final. He also said that if other countries began to respond with symmetrical measures or threaten their own retaliatory tariffs, the U.S. might raise its rates even higher. The news about the tariffs and the letters had an immediate impact on the market. The S&P 500 index fell by 0.8%. Smaller businesses were hit particularly hard. The Russell 2000 index, which tracks the stocks of smaller capitalization companies, fell even further, by 1.6%. So, Trump acknowledged that they shouldn't expect any grand agreements with every single country. We have 200 countries. We can't meet with all of them. The reciprocal tariffs were aimed at countries the Trump administration considered to be unfair players on the world market. The essence is that these countries received a higher rate, not the standard 10%, but significantly more. The White House officially justified this by stating that American exports often face much higher duties in their respective countries, and therefore, this was supposedly a way to level the playing field. Furthermore, the U.S. is introducing a 50% duty on copper imports. Copper is not just a metal, it's the foundation for all infrastructure, electronics, automobiles, and energy. Therefore, such a decision could affect many industries at once. But the really high figure concerns medicine. This is a 200% tariff on American pharmaceuticals. There are indeed many problems, but if tariffs are introduced, there will be even more. Well, a monopoly doesn't help anyone. There is one significant practical problem with the tariffs: how to implement all of this technically. Former Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross explained that U.S. Customs and Border Protection would have to very quickly update thousands of product codes in the so-called harmonized tariff schedule for each individual country. This was further complicated by the fact that Trump was changing tariffs at the last minute, making separate deals with countries, or sending them letters with different rates. In other words, even if the administration publicly talked about a hard deadline, in reality, this entire tariff strategy was chaotic and difficult to implement on a day-to-day basis. So, that's the situation. It's clear they've reached a stalemate. They can't fully implement the tariffs, and they can't reach an agreement. We will have to wait and see. Bessent appears to be the voice of reason. We'll see how he handles all of this, and if he succeeds at all. All the best to you. Goodbye.